Hello there, greetings and many thanks for joining us on Rwanda Television News tonight. Here's the heads up on what is coming up. The spokesperson of the Rwanda Defense Force, Brigadier General RwandaTV, announced that the misconduct was one of the cause for the dismissal of 116 army officers and 2 generals. The government of Rwanda spending on scholarships for students who go to study abroad has declined by more than 50% in the past 6 years. A great Wednesday evening to you and welcome to Rwanda Television News. We'll go to the news in details. The spokesperson of the Rwanda Defense Force, Brigadier General RwandaTV, announced that misconduct was one of the causes for the dismissal of 116 army officers and 2 generals. Adam Squizera starts us off tonight.
Ibikorwa bitesha agaciro umwuga wa gisirikare.
This was reiterated by the spokesperson of Rwanda Defense Force, Brigadier General RwandaTV, where he shed light on the dismissal of 2 generals, who are Major General Aloys Muganga and Brigadier General Francis Mutiganda.
Major General Aloys Muganga was dismissed for excessive drunkenness. That is unacceptable when you put on this uniform. Brigadier General Francis Mutiganda was dismissed because of gross insubordination. Insubordination is when you deliberately disobey specific orders from your superiors, or you conduct yourself in such a way that you do not respect authority and do not follow orders from those above you.
On 7th June, the Ministry of Defense released an announcement from the Commander-in-Chief about the dismissal of 116 army officers and the recession of service contract of 112 of them. Colonel Lambert Sendedia, who is in charge of RDF personnel, explained more about this recession of service contract of these 112 army officers.
When an officer commits gross misconduct, he cannot be, because he's not led by contract. He's a professional. So the only way for him to get out is dismissal.
Currently, there are 8 army officers who are under military prosecution, where a majority of them have been charged cases of theft, drug abuse, and smuggling. Adams Kwizera, RTV News.
Thank you, Adams. Moving ahead to matters related to education. The government of Rwanda, the spending of the government on scholarships for students who go to study abroad has declined by more than 50% in the past 6 years. Education institutions say that this should not cause any worry because going abroad for studies will continue but will be done in a different way. Jessica Agasaro reports.
Gigamba Doreen is a Rwandan woman who works at Dalberg, an international agency that specializes in corporate management and provides financial services and other consultancies. At the age of 17, she went to study in the United States of America. After 5 years, she decided to return to her homeland and contribute to the development of the country.
After I finished my master's, I actually did not apply for any job in the US, which at the time many people did not understand. But I had really made up my mind that I was going to come back. Everyone was sure that I was coming back because I have a job already or something, but I didn't. I came back, and for the first few weeks, I really aggressively applied in terms of just looking for people in the field that I was in, which was LinkedIn primarily. Reaching out to people, can we meet? I just want to learn more. I want to hear more. What is this? And from that networking. Honestly, it was the prospect of the impact that I could have. Even when I would just look at the jobs my peers were beginning to get in the US, it's very much like, how can I call it? It's just part of a very big chain that you're probably never going to rise to make significant impact over. You're going to go to work, you do your job, you go home, and you're lucky if that company succeeds, but it's not going to be like it succeeded because of you. It can do without you. There's another million of you there in that market, right? But it didn't feel that way in Rwanda. I felt that I had skills that could make an impact. There's still such a large gap in the market as well that I didn't feel like that I'm just a replaceable commodity. I really did feel that I have something to offer, have skills that could make a difference. So to me, that excited me more, being part of something that you can drive and change and for it to matter, you know. So that, I would say, is what made that final decision for me. Do I want to just go work and get paid and go home, sleep, and my bills are fine? No. I actually do want to do something where I think me being part of the process creates some sort of impact.
Doreen says that she came knowing that it is difficult to get a good salary in Rwanda like she'll get in America. But she decided to come because she knew that what she does in Rwanda will be more valued than abroad.
I think for me, I did see it firsthand when I came for my internship, that people are making a livable wage. They're not multimillionaires. You're not going hungry. So does your work make an actual impact to you? And are you able to sustain yourself? Now, if impact is your actual priority, then that decision is not a hard one to make. But at the same time, there will always be people who prefer to make money above and beyond everything else. So it's really about understanding the drivers behind why people do what they do. And when you begin to actually get people to understand, you can still do what you're doing and have a very comfortable life. If you work hard and you earn it, it's not going to be at the level that maybe some of your friends in the US might be making, but you're also able to probably influence and impact a lot more than they can as well. So weighing that scale and understanding what in the end you want to get out of it and communicating it also to people there. They actually all sometimes would assume that maybe you've had it easier when you came back, but I think also getting people to understand the same way you network and you apply and you do all of that there's no reason why you should not put that same effort in back home. You know, there's also another laziness mentality that you get sometimes when people come home, you get frustrated for 6 months and they say, why can't anyone see the skills I have? But there's intellectual arrogance as well. There's thinking that I have returned from abroad, I should be hired immediately. And that's also not true, you know. Being actually ready to put in the work, you know, put in the work to apply, put in the work to network, and then show up and be present, right? And don't think that the country owes you anything either. Come ready to give what you have and not to ask them to immediately employ you and be the ones that owe you something.
The RDB Chief Skills Office says that Rwandan living abroad are among the 100,000 who wants to contribute to building the country, as Dr. Edouard Kadoze explains.
94% y'abanyarwanda bari hanze.
94% of the Rwandans living abroad wishes to come back and share their knowledge in the country in different departments they want. And the good part is that Rwandans who are abroad, they have special education in different departments. We have almost 97,000 people who have finished their degree abroad. These are statistics, I can show them to you. In the United States of America, there's even more who did computer science and engineering, and that is what we need here in the country.
Computer science and engineering. Ibyo nibyo bintu dukeneye hano mu gihugu.
The Minister of Education, Dr. Uwamariya Valentine, also emphasized that Rwandans who study abroad are productive on both sides, whether they graduate and return home or those who stay abroad and work from there.
Iyo bamaze kwiga buriya umubare munini uragaruka.
When they finish school, most of them come back in Rwanda. Yes, there are those who don't come back, and we say that we have lost as a country. But every Rwandan, wherever they are, there is a way that they are serving the country one way or another. Most of those who don't come back, they have maybe found something to do, and that is well valued to the country, even though we wish they would come back here and build the country with us. HEC Director Dr. Rose Mukankomeje says that the decision to reduce the spending on scholarship was made after realizing that efforts should be made to find special skills abroad that are not available in the country. There is something I didn't tell you. According to the scholarship we get from cooperation with other countries that help us like Russia, Japan, Korea and China, those numbers are coming up. However, for Japan and China, we are trying to build the capacity of the government workers. The Ministry of Health can say that we need doctors and nurses. And if they bring them, we will tell our Ministry of Finance that these are the people that needs to learn about infrastructure, nurses, doctors, and from there we will build an institution instead of building a person in particular. You understand why we changed the way of thinking, why we did a shift. You all know that the government has created a school that concerns nuclear energy. Now we send many students who studied science to go abroad only for what we can't teach them here. We want our children to learn in a good environment in their own country and then maybe go abroad for something they didn't find here. Statistics from HEC show that in the year of 2016 to 2017, the government sent 567 students abroad for over 7.9 billion Rwandan francs. In 2020 to 2022, the government sent 299 students abroad and spent over 3.2 billion Rwandan francs, a reduction of 50% government expenditure on scholarship outside the country in the last 6 years. Jessica Agasaro, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Jessica, for the report. As we move ahead, the World Bank Regional Vice President for East and Southern Africa, Victoria Kwakwa, appreciates how the government of Rwanda utilizes World Bank subsidies in curbing poverty among the citizens. The remarks were made as the official visited various projects in Rulindo district that are supported by the World Bank. Prince Manzi with more.
Parents and teachers appreciate the early childhood development centers.
We feed them with the balanced diet daily for them to grow up well.
It was a joyful moment as the World Bank Regional Vice President for Eastern and Southern Africa, Victoria Kwakwa, visited students in the Kiruri Complex School. Pupils demonstrated on their future ambitions and big dreams resulting from the school's brought computers and other equipments. The Director General of the Rwanda Basic Education Board, Dr. Nelson Barushimana, states that the World Bank played a big role in the construction of 22,000 classrooms. A student to study well is to be in a proper classroom, and with the partnership with the World Bank, we constructed 22,000 classrooms, and on this school, 6 classrooms were built. These classrooms prevented overcrowding. The World Bank did not only sponsor the education sector, but also other sectors like agriculture as well. For instance, residents in Rulindo district across Miranza Dam appreciate how it helps in the agricultural development. The Rulindo district administration demonstrates that various projects sponsored by the World Bank are highly impacting the development of their citizens. The World Bank Regional Vice President for Eastern and Southern Africa, Victoria Kwakwa, commends the collaboration between the World Bank and the government of Rwanda towards citizens' development.
I was delighted with the conversations that I had with the students. You know, a lot of them want to be doctors, and why not? A lot of them, some of them want to be teachers, and some of them want to be farmers, and that's also a very good profession. I think sometimes we think as farming as, oh, for people that are poor. We need educated farmers. We need farmers that can learn the business of farming. We need farmers that can apply technology to raise productivity in agriculture and really increase incomes. And today we saw a young lady who's into farming, you know, and I think she's going to be a millionaire very soon.
This World Bank official is in Rwanda visiting various projects sponsored by the World Bank in various times. Prince Manzi, RwandaTV News.
Citizens carrying out fish farming across Lake Kivu in Karongi and Rusiro districts say that something has to be done to avoid trash falling into the lake, as it affects the species living in this lake as well as the people benefiting from them. Prince Manzi continues.
The number of people carrying out fishery in Lake Kivu continued to ameliorate. These people point out that trash, including plastic objects, are introduced in the lake and affect species in it, and some die. When the environment is not well preserved, it affects the livestock sector, mostly fishery. For instance, the soil erosion that takes away some trashes, introduce them in the lake, and the air may be polluted. And we think that is why fishes die. We once lost 3,000 fishes at once. In a conference on climate change, biodiversity, sustainable fishing, watershed management, and sustainable business solutions organized by the ALCOS network in the Karongi district, the Rwanda Environment Management Authority demonstrated that 80% of plastic trashes are thrown in various places, like farms, and only 10% is recycled. Jackie Nukamazina of ALCOS network reveals that they are going to invest 500 million Rwanda francs in curbing these effects in the Karongi and Rutsiro districts.
We have also to find solutions on mountains near Kivu. The issue is also the equipment used in agriculture when flown away to the lake. They affect the species in the lake, and they might die or else affect us people who feed on them. This means that the study will tackle on those issues.
The Karongi administration states that they will also play part in it and the outcome will be beneficial. It is a project that we are working on with the ALCOS network. It is a project we are expected to support us, and as you saw in the recent disasters, the Karongi hills are easily flown and the end point is in Lake Kivu. If the terraces will be made, it will reduce the trash introduced in the lake. 80 places are recorded as to where fishery is carried out, especially in Karongi and Rutsiro districts. The major challenge to these activities is the human activities. Prince Manzi, RwandaTV News. In Kigoma sector of Huye district, residents who were given a small livestock under Inzira Iterambere, translated to Journey to Development, a program, have started getting a greatly anticipated profits and benefits. Under the same program, 8 million Rwandan francs capital was given to households with profitable business projects. They say they have already started seeing or getting positive outcome. We have more. In the Kabituchi village of Shangasel, every household has a pig. Most of them gave birth, as it has been more than 1 year since they received them. Citizens say this became a catalyst for their development, as they have started giving piglets to their neighbors. When it first gave birth, I gave piglets to my neighbors, and I remained with 5. It gave birth again to 7 piglets, and I think I have enough profits. I thank the government and the leadership that brought this program to our sector. In the first phase of the program in the Shangasel, residents of the 7 villages of this cell implemented the piggery farming project. 632 out of 734 households got the pigs. In the second phase of the program, some residents made savings and bought a motorcycle. The executive secretary of the cell, Munganyimana Teofila, hopes this project will meet the expected outcomes. We expect this project to benefit citizens because there is a committee in charge of following it up. Secondly, before this program started, citizens were trained for 6 months on how to manage it. The third thing is that this project reached all households in this cell. In this program, every village is given 8 million Rwandan francs. In the first phase of the program, 684 million Rwandan francs have been given in the sectors of Gishamvu and Kigoma. Back to education matters. The Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences in the University of Rwanda initiated research that aims at training diabetes patients on how to monitor their health on their own on a daily basis using technology. We do have the details with Olive Nete.
The patients who are being taken care of in this study are those with type 2 diabetes. Health workers say that type 2 diabetes is mainly caused by lifestyle, and it is a type that is common, which severely affects people in the absence of proper monitoring. David Tumusime, the Deputy Dean of School of Health Sciences at the University of Rwanda, explains how this application called Gororoka assists diabetic patients.
The first material measures blood pressure, and when the patient places it on their arm, it immediately displays the measurement. They can then input the results into the application. The second material measures blood sugar levels, and when the patient inserts the results into the application shows whether the levels are high or low and provides recommendations, such as performing physical activities, the kind of diet he must follow, as well as the prescribed medication. But this does not replace the type of medication the patient typically uses. The patient continues to use it, but the app only offers advice on how to do so effectively and regularly, and also it indicates the patient if he is at a worse condition that needs medical assistance, and we as doctors, wherever we are, we keep on the monitoring.
Some diabetic patients say that keeping track of their health will help them stay healthy. I found out that I have diabetes in 2008, and I have been living with the condition for 15 years. I had 28 years back then when I was diagnosed with diabetes, and I found that out when I went to the doctor. I had symptoms such as having thirst, and when they tested me, they told me that I had diabetes. Knowing your blood sugar levels assists you in a number of ways. When your diabetes is not controlled, it can cause you other diseases, such as kidney and other many diseases. But when it is controlled, you live a normal life.
I used to lead a normal life until I suddenly started to feel weak. I went to the hospital for consultation and was diagnosed with diabetes. It was very severe because it used to make me so weak that if I held the phone in my hands, it could fall over. My blood sugar level was at 500, and they warned me that I could die at any moment. They also warned me that I could suffer severe consequences like going blind or being amputated. When you do not monitor your condition, you can be severely affected by it.
The coordinator of this undergoing research, Chance Christian Dahiriwe, who is also a physiotherapist, points out that for a diabetic patient, sports play an important role in preventing his blood sugar levels from rising too high.
Patients with type 2 diabetes should engage in 150 to 300 minutes of physical activity per week. If you choose 150 minutes, you must be consistent. If you choose 300 minutes, you can engage in less strenuous activities, like walking slowly for an hour or an hour and a half 4 days per week. When you are consistent, the disease becomes controlled, and research even shows that when you have a healthy diet along with those physical activities, the disease becomes under control. Even the study indicates that having a nutritious diet and engaging in physical activities can help you use less medications and even reach a point where you can stop using medications altogether and stick to the other two methods.
In this research, 100 people will be observed over the course of 3 months, according to the University of Rwanda. After that, they will be tested to check on their health status. The results of this study will determine whether this technology can be used by diabetes patients in general. The application called Gororoka being used was made in Rwanda. Health professionals say that more than 90% of people with diabetes have this type 2 diabetes.
And on behalf of the entire news production, as well as the technical team, many thanks for being with us on this edition of Rwanda Television News. Up until next time, stay safe and have a great evening.